Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Bec Sparrow, and I am thrilled tonight to be hosting this Teen Money IQ evening with all of you, which is all about equipping our kids with more knowledge, information, and skills when it comes to getting their first job. Now, of course, before we really begin, I want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we are on. So for me in Brisbane, it is the Yagara and the Turrbal people, and I pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging because I'm so grateful to be living and working on the lands of First Nations people. We've got people from Perth watching tonight, Nelson Bay, Brisbane, Jeraboombera. Hope I pronounced that correctly. I don't know if I did, but let me let you know, introduce to you who we are going to have on the panel tonight that you're going to be listening to. And crucially, do not be taking any financial advice from me. People, that would be a disaster. So it's really important that you know that the information in this webinar is general educational information. So it's not meant to be, we legally have to say to this, it's not, financial advice, and the information is designed to improve your financial literacy by increasing your awareness and understanding of the topics discussed. That's really important. Nobody needs to be following my spending habits. So who do we have with us tonight who's going to talk you through issues around teens getting their first job and managing their money? We have Katrina Samios, who is the CEO of the Financial Basics Foundation. Katrina's there. Give us a wave.
Hi.
There she is. We've got Anna Hussey, who's the customer advocate at Suncorp Bank. She's here making sure we're not sending everybody down the garden path. There's Anna. And then, crucially, we have real life people. We have Zach and Darren, who Darren's a dad. We've got Zach, the teen, who are here just to represent, I guess, parents and teenagers everywhere talking through getting first jobs. So hi, guys.
Hi.
Thank you. Okay. To kick things off, just to set the casual tone, let's just talk about, I want everybody on the panel to reveal what their first job was and what they were saving for. So for me, I started working when I was about 13 or 14 and haven't stopped since. So I think my first job was babysitting, where I was paid about $3 an hour. But then within quick succession, I worked for a deli for about a week, then Hungry Jack's, Maya, I think, a place called Copper Art, where I sold fake lamps. So that was me. And what was I saving for? Spending money at Sports Girl and Splendiferous in the 80s, and then Schoolies Week, I'd have to say. What about you, Katrina?
Oh, well, I actually thinking back, my parents had businesses, family businesses, a cafe and then a hardware. And I don't recall being paid for those years of labor. But when I did get my first job at around 15, it was at a pharmacy in West End in Brisbane, and I was wiping the shelves and stacking the shelves, and I was actually saving for my first car.
Do you remember what you were paid per hour? Do you remember what you were paid?
No, I don't actually. It wasn't a lot because it was a long time ago, but I did manage to buy myself a mango coloured Meteor with the proceeds of that job.
Nice.
A Ford Meteor.
Anna, what about you?
Bec, we must be of a very similar age because I too started my working career at Cut Price Deli. Spent 4 years working there, and I might work for a bank now, but I saved absolutely nothing. I also was spending all of my money at Sports Girl, Dotty, cosmetics, all sorts of things. I saved nothing in my teen years.
Shame on us.
Yeah.
And what about Darren and Zach? Darren, you go first. What was your first job?
Yeah, my first job was a paper round back in the day when I used to ride a bike around about 6 in the morning, deliver all the papers, $10 a week, which I thought was a lot of money back then. Parents had a milk bar as well. After that, I worked in there. I don't think that paid anything. Honestly, can't remember what I saved for with that paper round, but I think it was pretty hard-earned money, I remember.
Yeah. And what about you, Zach? Do you have a job?
Yeah, I'm still at my first job. I've been basketball refereeing for the last 2.5 years part-time. I'm saving towards a car.
Oh, and Zach, how old are you?
I've just turned 18.
Just turned 18, saving for a car. Nice. Don't go the mango Meteor, but...
I don't think they exist anymore. Ford Media
No,
was.
no judgment, but
Such a shame.
all right, Katrina, I'm going to hand over to you because I know that you're going to introduce a short video we're going to watch.
Yeah, thank you so much. The reason that we're all here. Thanks everybody, and hello and welcome tonight. It's fantastic to see so many young people, parents and educators here, all eager to tackle one of life's most exciting milestones, which is earning your first paycheck. At the Financial Basics Foundation, we believe that financial capability is a critical life skill, and helping young Australians build confidence and independence in managing money is at the heart of what we do. That's why we've created MoneyIQ, a series of bite-sized animated videos designed to empower teens to navigate financial decisions with ease and confidence. Let's face it, earning your first paycheck is thrilling, but it comes with responsibilities and choices that can feel overwhelming. Things like setting up your first bank account and understanding tax and decoding that first pay slip and building habits of saving. There's a lot to figure out. MoneyIQ breaks down these topics into relatable, engaging and easy to digest episodes, and we're guided on that journey with Mon and her tech-savvy sidekick IQ, who we met in the first series of MoneyIQ, which was all about banking. The goals of this video series are simple but powerful. Firstly, it's to equip teens with practical knowledge to manage the money they earn and make informed decisions. It's to support parents and carers with resources to start meaningful conversations about money at home. And it's about empowering schools and teachers and communities to integrate financial literacy into everyday learning. The Earning series is all about building that foundation. Over the next 45 minutes, you'll learn how we're helping teens prepare for their first job, understand their rights and responsibilities in the workplace, as well as building the skills and confidence they need to be able to manage their income. We will explore essential concepts like tax file numbers, pay slips, superannuation, and even how to identify scams in the job market. The videos are lighthearted, yet packed with actionable insights. They answer the questions young Australians are asking and help support curiosity about financial well-being. Most importantly, they're fun. Teens can connect with Mon and IQ and hopefully come away feeling a little bit more confident about taking control of their financial journey. For parents and carers, we also offer the Parent and Carer Hub, which is a suite of online resources full of conversation starters, family activities, and tools to support your teen as they start their earning. And for young people who are online tonight, don't forget to check out our Young Person Hub, where you can explore interactive courses and resources around saving, budgeting, and more. They're all completely free, and they're all written by Australian educators. And for those who are teachers online, they're all aligned to the Australian curriculum. Above all, we're here tonight to empower you, the young people, whether you're a teen stepping into the workforce or a parent guiding them through these first financial steps. Together, we're equipping young Australians with the skills and mindset to thrive financially now and in the future. So without further ado, let's dive into the MoneyIQ Earning series. There are 4 videos in this series. The first one is about getting ready to earn, where Mon and IQ walk you through everything you need to get started, like applying for your tax file number and understanding superannuation and getting your paperwork sorted. The second video is called Show Me the Money, and this is where Mon and IQ break down the basics, including the basics of your pay slip, including gross versus pay, net pay, PAYG tax, and how to read your pay slip. Plus, you learn the secret, the financial rule of thumb of paying yourself first and getting started on that savings journey. The third video is about watching out for scammers in the job market. We will always have an element of avoiding scams in all the material we release, because it's such a critical part of building financial literacy and what we want to protect all young people about. And so Mon and IQ help you spot the red flags. You learn how to identify fake job offers. You protect your personal information and understand your workplace rights. It helps you stay sharp and safe and secure the job you deserve. And finally, the fourth video is Life Hacks for Earning, where Mon and IQ share 5 essential tips for teens starting their job journey, from creative ways to earn money to understanding tax and spotting scams. And that's what the video we're going to show you tonight. It's a really good oversight of all those other 4 videos, and we hope it gives you a taste for what those other videos have in them. So enjoy Money IQ and Life Hacks for Earning.
Hey again, folks. IQ and I are back to share with you 5 hot tips as you prepare to enter the workforce. IQ, care to start us off?
Sure. Tip 1. While it's good to look for jobs online, taking copies of your printed resume and dropping it off at local shops and businesses is a fantastic way to kick off your job hunt. Even if they're not hiring right now, you might just stick in their minds for when they need someone great like you. Tip 2. Don't be afraid to get creative when it comes to making an income and landing your dream job.
There are jobs all around the neighbourhood just waiting for a willing person. Like babysitting, dog walking, lawn mowing. You could even make some money by selling things online. Or look into delivery driving if you have a car and licence.
Tip 3. Make sure you get your head around tax. When you work for someone else, it's the employer's responsibility. But if you're working for yourself, even if it's through an online platform or you have a business selling online, you're responsible for paying tax. It can seem confusing at first, but it makes a lot of sense once you understand it.
Agreed. Understanding tax is a flex, honestly. Head to the ATO website to find out more.
Tip 4. Don't forget, it's important you check your payslip properly to make sure you're getting paid the right amount. Don't be afraid to ask your employer for any explanations here too. And tip 5. Follow these scam defense rules.
Protect.
Never share personal or financial info by email, text message or phone. Legitimate employers won't ask for this until they've hired you.
Stop.
Pause before you click or reply to anything. Is it fake?
Block.
Delete and block all communications with scammers. Then report it.
And that's all we've got for you on the job front, team. We hope you've learned a lot this series and feel ready to dive headfirst into the job market. You've got this. Until next time. To find out more, go to financialbasics.org.au. Also, don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button to see more. See ya!
See, I even learned something from that video, Katrina. There's things that I'm going, that's right, check your payslip. You know, listening to that video, it made me remember something. I think I would say to teens watching, if you are struggling with finding a job at the moment, that do not underestimate how powerful it is to be enthusiastic. That a lot of employers are looking for someone who is enthusiastic with that enthusiasm. And I'll tell you that not one of the first jobs, but when I was in my early 20s and I really wanted to work in television and I wanted to work in publicity and TV. And I saw a job in the paper for a big TV station in Australia wanting to hire a junior publicist. And they said you had to have 5 years of experience doing publicity, and I had none. I had no experience doing publicity for TV. But I put together my job application and I looked at one of the shows they had on that channel. I won't say what network it was. And I did up my own publicity plan for that TV show and said, if I was a publicist for this TV show, this is what I would do. And I did all that, sent it off, and I got an interview for that job because I was the only applicant who did anything different and showed some initiative. And while I didn't end up getting that job, 6 months later, a junior position opened up, which I got. So I just want to say, if you are going around, you feel like you're putting your resume in, sometimes just doing something a little bit different, showing enthusiasm, doing something a bit more creative with your resume can be the thing that makes a difference. So So there's a top tip, a free tip from me, from Auntie Bec. But listen, I think that this is really crucial tonight. I'm really glad we've had over 600 people register for this webinar tonight. And I think it's because a lot of parents realize how crucial it is for our teens to have an understanding of financial literacy, or to be financially literate, right? And I look back on my teenage years and even through my adulthood of not understanding complex things about credit cards or debt or anything like that. And what we're seeing at the moment, certainly that we've seen in teenagers, is a rise of kids, and Katrina will know about this, but teenagers using gambling apps, which is a massive concern. Also falling for those fast money loans with really high interest. That's another disaster. You know, with the cost of living at the moment, it can feel hard enough to get your first job. To then watch your money fritter away is what we don't want for you. And if you are going to be working hard and earning a paycheck, we want that money to work for you. You know, it's not about the banks. We're not pushing you towards banks, but we want you to be smart enough to understand interest and different types of bank accounts and savings and investment and budgeting. All of that is crucial for you, for your life, in being able to have the life that you want to have and not have the stress that so many Australians have with enormous financial debt. Would you add anything to that, Katrina?
No, you've actually nailed it. You really, I just want to reiterate what you just said, and because it will come as no surprise that I think the one thing that a young person should have going into the workforce is that sense of developing strong financial literacy. And that starts by speaking with somebody that you trust, your parent, carer, teacher, or even your new boss, and really start to understand what to expect from work, know your rights and responsibilities, and then understanding how to manage your personal finances by setting a budget and saving. As you said, that lays the foundation for your financial future and financial well-being. And if you can master these skills and build this confidence early, it really helps to reduce that financial stress, and for you to avoid those pitfalls that sometimes come along, or that often come along through life's journey.
And I want to say to the parents who might be watching that, you know, often for us as parents, I'm a parent of two tweens and a teen, and we can feel like we don't have great financial knowledge. We can feel like we don't have great spending habits. So I really want to encourage you that Katrina was talking about those resources that are available, that are free through the Financial Basics Foundation, that are going to sort of change the pattern with our children so that they are smarter than what we have been, for many of us, and are not making the mistakes that we made. Because, you know, I don't want to be doom and gloom at all, but the cost of living, it's tough. So you get a job, we want it to be working for you. We want your money to be working for you, and for you to look after your money and know what you're doing with it. So let's move on and go on to our first question to the panel tonight. So starting your first job does feel like a big step. I remember when my eldest got her first job. She works at a cinema. She's still there, which she loves. I want to ask each of you, what do you think is the most important thing a young person should do to prepare for entering the workforce? So getting their first job, what's the most important thing you think that they should do to prepare for that? So Zach, I'm going to go to you first. What would you say?
I think you got to be ready when you start working. You got to make sure you have your tax file number. You've got all your details, your financial details ready for your employer, so you're able to get paid properly.
Yeah, I mean, the tax file number, and a lot of kids are completely unaware about that. But it's pretty easy, isn't it, getting your tax file number from memory?
Yeah, you just go talk to the post office, you can apply for it online. Nice and easy to get.
Yeah, fairly, but you will need a tax file number in order to get paid, right? So unless you're sort of doing cash in hand babysitting or whatever, walking dogs, but if it's a proper business who's employing you, then you will need a tax file number. So that's a great tip. Anna, what would you say?
So obviously you want a transaction banking account for your pay to go into. That's really important.
And I'm going to interrupt you. When you
Yeah.
say transaction banking account, explain what that means. What is a transaction banking account?
So all Australian banks, you can get onto any website. So this is certainly not about Suncorp Bank. Get on
Yeah.
there, search up kids banking account, transaction accounts, banking accounts. It literally is a bank account, your money, your wages gets deposited into, and then you can access that account, be it with an EFTPOS card or different types of cards. You see your tap and go. There's lots of options there, but on every banking website, please go and have a look at those, see what works for you, what works for your family. Your mum and dad might have advice on what that transaction account should look like. That's how you keep your money safe. It's really, really important. Your employer will pay your wages into that banking account. So once you get through the recruitment process and you know you've got a job with Kmart or Macca's or your local cafe, then there is a process to share that banking account number with your new employer, and they'll safely deposit your wages into that account. And don't be a teenager like me. There are savings accounts as well. So you might want to look at those products when you're searching up some, banks online. You might want an account for your everyday spend, but you might choose to save money. So it's often a good idea to have an extra account for those savings.
Right. So you might be opening up. What we're saying is you might think about opening up like two bank
accounts.
Yeah. And so your transaction one is like a day-to-day one.
Yeah.
Like you might be paying for train fares or, eating out with your friends or whatever.
That's right.
But then you might be taking a portion of your salary that's from your employer going into your bank account, and some of that you might immediately move off into a savings account. So you're saving for something like Zach's saving for a car, so you'd have to immediately go away. So think about that when you are opening up those bank accounts. That's excellent. Katrina, what would you say?
I probably can't add anything more than what you guys have already covered. I love that conversation around transactions and savings account, your paperwork. But just to reiterate what I said, make sure you're having the conversations with somebody that you trust. Don't keep money and the aspects of your job secretive, because if you can have the conversations at home, it builds your confidence and well-being, and there'll be somebody on your side there to support you if you run into any challenges or have questions, and somebody you can trust can provide you with the right information. So go armed and develop your strong financial literacy by starting to have conversations with people that you trust about your first job, your rights, responsibilities, and then what you should do with your money once you've got that first job.
Absolutely, because Katrina, I really want to stress to people, it is very different if you are getting a job in your neighborhood and you are offering to wash cars, walk dogs, babysit, and you get to set the rate, right? You might say, I'm $20 an hour to babysit. I will wash somebody's car for whatever, $25, I don't know, right? That's different. When you go and get a proper job, I want you to make sure that you are being paid what you are meant to be paid. Okay, so when people say, "Oh, yeah, well, yeah, that's fair. We'll pay you $12 an hour, whatever it is." No, right? You want to make sure that you are being paid the amount you are legally meant to be paid. And so when we send you some fact sheets, when we get stuck together, we're going to send you links and information of where you go to check what the rate is that you should be paid, because we don't want you to be ripped off. And unfortunately, there are businesses all around the place that underpay young staff. So I think that's really important. You're going to be doing the hours, you want to be paid properly. Okay, next question. For many teens, the idea of their first paycheck is exciting, but also overwhelming. So what would you recommend, or how should they approach managing their earnings? Now, Anna, we just spoke about the idea of having the two bank accounts. Would you add anything to that as well?
I'll probably put my mum hat on because I have two teenagers as well, both two girls, 17 and 18. And when they first started their jobs, we talked about a 50-30-20 rule. So 50% in your transaction account for your needs, like Bec said, bus fare, tuck shop money, whatever those needs might be. 30% potentially in your transaction account, you might leave it there. You might move it over to your savings account. That's for your wants. That's for people like Bec and I as teens that went to sports girl and wanted to buy a new dress. And 20% I've encouraged my girls to put aside for savings. They might want to save for a car like Zach. They might want to save for the end of school trip. So 50, 30, 20. It's a general work rule. I know it's worked for my teenage girls. It's just a recommendation from me as a mum to think about.
Yeah, and I think, would you say as well, Anna, there's that saying that I've heard where it's like, pay yourself first. Is that it? And so as soon as your money, you want to sort of, well, this is what I've done and what my daughter has done is that you set up like on your bank account an automatic transfer. So when you know your pay is going to hit every Thursday, you emit, but so you can't even touch the money.
It. You can't even touch it. That's the absolute key.
Filthy hands on that money. Then move it straight away into a savings account.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's like, we at Suncorp Bank, we do have accounts that have sub-accounts. So your main transaction account, there's the ability to have sub-accounts. So you might go 10% for a holiday, 10% for my car in a few years' time. And, you know, you set and forget, Bec, set and forget. Yeah. Another good recommendation from a really trusted colleague here at Suncorp Bank said consistency and time are your friend when you come to savings. So a small bit consistently put away really does grow. That's how you grow your money. So I thought I quite like that. Consistency and time are your friend.
Yeah. I need to write that down.
Yeah, me too. I'll put it on my desk here so I remember that. I don't want to, spend my Black Friday sales. Yeah.
All right, Zach, what about you? What would you say about what it's like getting that first paycheck?
Well, my first paycheck, I remember it hit on a Tuesday at school. And I said to some of my friends, let's go to Macca's after school. And I would have spent at least half of it on just food. Be like, I tried to be that friend, like, yeah, I'll get you a drink, like that's easy. And it all just went so quick. So yeah, like you said, putting away some money straight into savings, put it straight aside, don't worry about it, and then it just helps it grow over time.
I can just see you, you're just like flicking the money. You're like, everything's on me, I'm rich. Yeah. You've got like nothing left.
It feels so good when it hits, and then it's gone so quick.
Oh, it's so true. Darren, what about you? What would you say?
Yeah, I'll back up a lot of what you guys already said, but yeah, like Zach said, like he didn't at the start he wasn't saving, but now he's saving, and it started out as a small goal, but it's got to be bigger, right? Cars are an expensive thing to buy, so the savings percentage is a bit higher than it was at the start. If he wants to get a car, that's the way it had to be. But yeah, all that learning where your money goes. It's important. Like if you want to save or budget, you have to know where it's going. You got to know whether you're spending it on Macca's all the time and whether you can stop a bit of that and put it somewhere else. So that's what I thought was important.
Yeah, so true. All right, Zach, another question for you. What was one of the most surprising things you had to do when preparing for your first job? So you were saying you were refereeing.
Yeah, so I thought that would be pretty simple. Like I'd talk to some of the people, rock up, and then get paid for it. But there's a lot more paperwork than you think whenever you're applying for your first job. Like we talked about before, you need to get your tax file number, all your banking details. Like it's on you to make sure your employer gets them so you can get paid properly. So just making sure you have your reference details, like your tax file number, and then finding out about tax as well, like going to the ATO, doing a bit of research on the tax you've got to pay on what the money that you make.
Adulting is so disappointing, isn't it? Like, I know. It's all downhill from here, Zach. Honestly, it's just paperwork, really. Adulthood, just paperwork. Anna, from your perspective and experience at Suncorp Bank, what advice would you give young people and parents about job scams? Like, what red flags should they be looking out for? And how common is it, these scams?
So did you know 80% of scams actually originate online? And of course, every teenager that I know, they're on their phone, they're very digitally savvy, connected online. So scammers do target people in different ways, but 80% of all types of scam activity happens online. So I'll probably just call that out really clearly. So we all have to be uber cautious. We really do, and be aware to scams. So there's a few, and I'm going to look down at my notes here because there's some really specific things I'd love our teens online to hear today. So scammers can pose as employers to try and gain your personal information or money. So if you do see a job ad, be it on TikTok or on Snapchat or whatever social media platform you might be using, if it feels like it's too good to be true, it probably is. So if they're saying, I'm going to pay you $100 an hour, that is really not common for a teenager in a part-time job. So be really mindful of if it feels too good to be true, we'd probably say it is. Another red flag is really poor quality communication that you see on those job ads. So things like misspelled emails or pushy messages. So always verify the company's details. Go back, they say they're from, so I'm probably just seeing Sports Girl in chat, that's terrible. But if Sports Girl are targeting you online and saying, come to this job for $50, go and Google Sports Girl. Go and find Sports Girl on Google's actual email address or phone number and confirm with them. Don't ever click the link or call a number they might tell you. So that's just a real safety check there. And you should only ever share sensitive personal information like your tax file number or your bank account number, your transaction account number, once you absolutely have confirmed that that is a job offer for you with a new employer. So please do that. And also, of course, be cautious with emails or links. Again, text messages, you've heard of WhatsApp scams. Please avoid links. Again, if someone says, hey, I'm your friend, can you transfer me $50? Beck, I've lost my phone. They've texted you. Can you just help me out? I'm stuck, so I'm going to transfer me $50. Go into your phone. Go and get Beck's number that's saved in your phone and FaceTime them. Check it's actually the person. So we're very, very strong on please check emails. Please check links. Don't click on anything suspicious. So those things do apply with job scams as well as just cautious banking practices.
Yeah, and I mean the scams are getting more and more sophisticated.
They really are. They really, really are.
They're just everywhere. Like
really basic things. Never share your passwords. I know you know this, everyone, but just confirming, don't share your passwords with anyone. Don't have the same passwords for accounts. It's really important from a banking perspective and just to keep you safe online generally. So lots of information on our website, on every bank website, on ScamWatch. ScamWatch is a great resource if you want to, read up about how to stay safe online.
Yeah, and as we've said, it is heartbreaking and humiliating, I think, when you do get scammed, whether it's online or otherwise, but it does just, you end up feeling like an idiot, right?
You do.
I mean, I know earlier this year, I would say I'm pretty sophisticated in understanding scams. I totally fell for a fake website where I was trying to buy my kids some clothes. It completely set up, looked like the real one.
Completely. They're so sophisticated. We can't reiterate
that money's gone that I spent.
It is very, very common for so many of us in society today to get caught out by a scam. So, you hear about people buying a puppy online or, they're very common scams that we do see. So, anyone can get caught out, Beck, anyone. So like Kat said before, trusted, talk to your mum, talk to your dad, talk to your teacher, your trusted person, double check. If you think, as I said, if things don't feel right, double check with someone else as well.
And I would also add to that, not to do with online scams, but if you are going to job interviews and you go to a location, that trust your gut instinct.
Trust your gut.
Right? If you turn up somewhere and you think, this feels creepy, this doesn't feel right, I don't like the feel of this, leave. Right?
Absolutely.
No job interview is worth compromising your feelings of safety or feeling like something's dodgy. So sometimes with our kids and teenagers, we have so drilled into them about manners and being polite and whatever that you sort of think, oh, I can't just leave. You know what? You actually can. Like, just walk out. Like, something feels wrong, you don't turn up, you leave, you walk out. All of that kind of thing. You should advocate for yourself and, as I said, trust your gut instinct. Now, one of the questions that we had sent in when we announced this webinar is an interesting one, which was about how teens should manage paid work, having a job, with schoolwork and extracurricular activities. So what I wanted to say is increasingly what we are seeing, because of the cost of living at the moment and how difficult some families are finding the current financial landscape, is we are seeing teenagers who are working and that money is going towards helping the household. What we would want you to know is, first of all, there is no shame in that. I think that families can feel a lot of shame when your teenager is contributing to the household, but want to say to you that it's becoming increasingly common and not to feel shame about that. But I've spoken to some people in schools, and that you should know that if you speak to your child's school, like deputy principals and guidance officers, there's actually a lot of financial assistance that is available for families so that you can take that pressure off your teenager, and find financial assistance in other ways. So there are lots of opportunities available, and if you speak to the school in confidence, they would be able to direct you to some of those avenues. And the other thing that I wanted to say is that sometimes as teens, we can be so eager and enthusiastic to make money, right? And you just like, because you love it. Like, who doesn't like making money? It's great, right? Zach's nodding his head, right? And so there's that real temptation sometimes to just take on as many shifts as you can and take on as many hours as you can to just see that money going into your bank account. And what we would want to say to you is, we really want you to think about short-term goals and long-term goals in your life. So your short-term goal might be, oh no, I want that money because I want to go to school this week, or I want concert tickets, or I'm saving up for the car, or whatever it is. But you don't want to compromise your long-term goal if that is going to university, going to TAFE, whatever it is. So you've got to think about, as one of my teacher friends said to me today, is that extra shift at Macca's that is the night before a big maths exam or English exam, is that worth doing if it's going to compromise that long-term goal that you have? So, and I know it can feel hard because, I've got a teenager in the house who's like desperately trying to grab shifts for her job, but you don't want to compromise those long-term things of your future, where with that future, with what you're going to do after school, that will give you greater earning potential, most likely, than kind of crashing and burning while you're at school, if that makes sense. Katrina, would you add anything to that?
The only thing I would add is that we recognise that it's sometimes hard for a young person to say no to shifts. That isn't always easy, particularly, if you're being pressured, we need you, you've got to, we're short staffed. But it really is important to protect time for study and hobbies and rest, because it's just as valuable as earning an income. So have confidence and strength, and know that you are able to say no to shifts. And that you can't be forced if you've done your required hours and they're asking you to do more, that it's okay to say no to extra shifts if they're putting a bit of pressure on you. So be mindful of that. You don't have to take all the shifts, particularly if it's jeopardizing your well-being and your other activities.
Yeah, and we can send out, hopefully, when we do put a fact sheet together, there is information about how many hours teenagers are meant to work. It's different for each state and territory, but it's very interesting to sort of read that. So if your teenager's trying to convince you, I want to keep taking on all these shifts, or you've got a boss who's trying to get you to work more hours, because sometimes teenagers are cheaper to pay. Again, this is about going in. Knowledge is power. So when you understand your rights and responsibilities in a workplace of what you're looking out for, we don't want you to be taken advantage of, I guess, is what we're saying. So Katrina, back to you for a second. What advice would you have for parents about supporting their teens in finding a safe and fair job? What should they be looking for when they're looking for a job?
Probably a great segue from what we've just been speaking about, and it will come out in the fact sheet, because there are lots of sites that we've checked up, and we've created a table that covers all the hours and pay scales and those kinds of things. But it's really important, I think, for a parent to understand what's going to be expected of that young person in their job, particularly if it's their first job, and then certainly to understand their rights and responsibilities from both parties. So what what your workplace is going to expect for you, what to do and how you're going to show up for work every day, but also for the young person, things like the work information statement and the casual employment statement, which are all available on fairwork.gov.au. As I said, we'll provide the links. But if you pre-read that information, you kind of are well armed to have the conversations around those rights and responsibilities, as well as the day-to-day stuff about expectations and showing up and how to present yourself. But if you have some of those key concepts about rights and responsibilities in your mind, you can help your team kind of navigate those conversations when they have to have them with their boss or with their colleagues.
And also, I'm really interested as well, Katrina, about teens who are finding non-traditional ways to earn money, because now, of course, you know, the rise of the influencer, right, has really, look, I've got an 11-year-old who's trying to set up his own online business. I'm like, okay, like what? Go your hardest. So I'm interested in sort of, you know, teens might be trying to sell stuff online, or they might be, you know, like doing gigs, and I'm all for this because, you know, I'm someone who is self-employed, and I think that's interesting watching kids become entrepreneurs. But what advice would you have? And like, how does tax work?
Yeah, exactly. And again, we're here to not provide specific financial advice for everybody's individual circumstances. The first thing I would say is go and speak to an accountant or financial advisor to get the advice that you need about your tax, because the last thing that you want to do is get in trouble with the ATO because you haven't met your tax obligations. And you're right, we're seeing, you know, a whole suite of new online gigs and the gig economy, selling products. And if you're doing that for yourself, you are responsible for managing your taxes. And that's the big difference. Whereas if you have a regular job, your employer takes care of your pay-as-you-go tax. The ATO website has resources that can help you get started with understanding your tax requirements. But again, if you're self-employed, I'd highly encourage you to get advice from an accountant or financial advisor to ensure that you're meeting your tax obligations, because you're responsible for those, and you don't want to miss the mark, because you might land with an unexpected large tax bill at the end of the financial year that you're prepared for.
Listen, if the government thinks it can get money out of you, they'll come and find you.
Yep.
Like
yep.
that.
Certainly there's lots of cross-checking happening now. So don't think that you can avoid that, because there's the tax department is getting quite good at cross-referencing all your sources of income.
So better to have a conversation with an accountant and find out and know if you're meant to be putting money aside and paying tax. And if they say, no, you're not earning enough, great.
Yep.
Amazing. Great if you're not earning enough and are paying no tax. But you don't want to get a nasty surprise like 2 years later of a massive tax bill, which would devastate you. So better to know from the get-go if you'd need to be paying tax. And as Katrina said, this is if you are working for yourself with an employer, they are going to be doing the tax for you. This is if you were doing something yourself, like selling something, doing gigs, whatever it is. Okay, Anna, from your experience, what are the most common financial mistakes that young people are making when they start their first jobs?
I'm only going to go with one, Bec. And back to the tax file number that we've spoken about a couple of times tonight. Banks also need this information. So if you do have that savings account and you are earning interest on those savings, if a bank or banks don't have your tax file number, they will keep some of your interest aside. And I won't go into the intricacies of that, but it's really easy. It's very safe. Give your bank a call when you have that savings account and provide that, new tax file number that you set up to start your job. Give that to your bank. That's my top tip.
Excellent. Now, if a young person thinks that they're being underpaid,
is that me, or has everybody else frozen, or is it just
I think it might just be Bec, maybe. I can hear you, but it was a bit funny there. So
Okay, I know the question that Bec was going to ask,
go
so I'll
for it.
quickly jump in, and that's about if a young person suspects they're being underpaid or treated unfairly at work, and what steps we should take or they should take to address it. And so the first thing I would say is that young people should familiarise themselves, and the employer will give you these, the Fair Work Information Statement and the Casual Employment Statement. These are all available at fairwork.gov.au, but they should be provided to you and they outline your rights and your entitlements. The second thing is keep a record of your payslips and the hours that you work. And if you believe that there's an issue, you should definitely speak to your employer directly. And if that doesn't resolve it, Fair Work Australia offers resources to support workers in these situations. But knowing your rights is really empowering, and it helps you to effectively advocate for yourself. So you're in a stronger position to be able to chat to your employer if you feel that there's something not quite right there about the hours you've worked and your pay. Now, it doesn't look like we've got Bec back.
No, we don't. And I'm sure everyone would love to hear from Bec again before we wrap up for the night.
Yeah, we're going to keep chugging along because I know we've already gone over time, or
We've gone over time.
So we're conscious of everybody's time and respect that, and want to finish off. I suppose, Zach, to ask you a question that we've been talking about today. How do you think parents and caregivers can support teens to navigate their first job and manage money? What's the one thing that you would like a parent or a caregiver to kind of say to help guide their teen?
I think one thing that helps a lot, and what's helped me especially, is just being there. When you're usually working, obviously there is stuff that you're not going to know, you're going to miss these kind of stuffs. So as a parent, being that kind of figure, to be there to talk, help them out with any sort of questions they need, because there will be stuff that as a teen you won't know, and you want to be able to turn to the people around you for that support.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, you're back. Hi, Bec. Can you hear us?
Yes, what happened? I got kicked out.
You got kicked out.
I'm back.
We've we answered the question that you were going to ask me, and we've just asked Zach about, because we're conscious of time and we've already gone over. So we've just asked Zach what would be the one thing that he would suggest parents and caregivers should provide in terms of supporting their young people as they're entering the workforce. So we've covered those.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened there with me getting booted out of my own meeting. So rude. All right. Well, do we have a last? Do you want me to do a last question to wrap up?
Sure, unless there's any questions in the chat that we think our team thinks we should be answering at this point, or else we can just ask the one question.
Yeah, if there's any questions in the chat that people wanted to ask, or if we don't answer it tonight, it's something that we can answer in the fact sheet. So if you've got a question, please list it below. But I guess the last thing I would ask you all is your final tip that you might have for young people entering the workforce. What would you say? What would you say, Anna, if you had a final tip?
Just remember to protect your personal information. Keep those passwords safe. Be savvy online.
Yeah. Okay, Darren, what would you say?
I say teach yourself to live within your means. Like, it's all new and exciting, and like you say, we all like to earn a lot of money, you know. But and it's okay to do that. It's okay to enjoy all your money, but you got to have a little bit aside, whether it's for that thing you want to save or whether it's for an unexpected expense. But just, you know, live within your means. The 50-30-20 rule, I think, is really good. Anna, I thought that was very impressive. So yeah, that'd be my advice. What
about you, Zach? What would you say?
I think you got to find the balance. When you start working, nothing feels as good as seeing the money go into your account. But the time off, you got to make sure you got that work-life balance. I've just taken a few weeks off from my exams. It's just finding that balance so you don't overwork yourself.
Yeah. Katrina, what would you say?
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. We know you don't know everything when you start your first job. Nobody does. And 100 years in, I still don't know everything about, working in jobs and those kinds of things. But don't be afraid to ask questions. We know that asking questions and having conversations builds financial literacy and confidence. And so finding out about your pay and your work conditions and your rights, whether you're asking your boss or somebody at home, staying informed builds confidence and makes sure that you're empowered, throughout your journey. So it gives you the strength to be able to, as Bec started this session around, is making sure that all the right things are happening for you in your workplace and for your money. So ask questions and, don't be scared to do that, and empower yourself with some good information.
And I would say that if you are lucky enough to find a great job that you enjoy doing with a great employer, don't take it for granted, which means you've done the hard yards of getting the job. Be a respectful employee, right? Which means turning up on time. If you want to swap a shift, giving notice to do that, and not just not turning up. We hear a lot of stories of young teenagers who are just not turning up to shifts. And I'm telling you, if you treat the job with disrespect, you will lose it, right?
Yeah.
Because there'll be some other teenager who wants it. So if you've got a job, that's a great job, great environment, great team, then treat that job with respect. It's a great learning ground. And I would say to parents, don't be afraid of your teenager having a job, right? I think it can teach our teenagers so much about teamwork, responsibility, customer service, being brave about talking to people and making phone calls and taking feedback from an adult who isn't a parent. All of that, I think it's wonderful for our teenagers to have jobs. So if you're lucky enough to get one, be a good employee, because I tell you something, when you move on, eventually that reference from your first boss is gold. So you will want that. So I'll wrap it up there, but thank you, everyone. As I said, we've got lots of people who are watching this in the future. We've got over 600 people who wanted to watch this, who registered for this tonight. A recording will be going out in the next 48 hours. And then after that, we are going to put together a fact sheet for you with really helpful information for you about teenagers getting their first job. So we've gone over time, but thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you to Katrina and to Anna and to Darren and to Zach. And I want to say Financial Basics Foundation, this is a not-for-profit organisation I'm really thrilled to partner with, which is all about equipping your teenager with financial literacy. So important. You can find them. What's the website, Katrina?
financialbasics.org.au.
Okay, lots of free resources, teachers, great stuff for schools. So go and find it. And we have got questions that are coming in about where's the best place to get a job. We'll try and answer those when we send through more information.
Yeah, we'll put it all in the fact sheet. Anything that we haven't already answered, we'll put in the fact sheet and build it out and send it out to everyone who's registered.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight.
Good night.
Bye, everyone. Good night.
Bye.